Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like.
Check out the podcast below in the description.
Yeah, do that. All right, John, this is the second time in 4 weeks that Jimmy Garoppolo has limped into the locker room, basically, or in the first time the Dolphins game. I don't know if he went in the locker room, but he just came out. Second time in 4 weeks Jimmy's been pulled from a blowout loss because he's not 100% and is not going to be the guy to try and lead a Niner comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I think that day when it happened against the Dolphins game, it was a huge red flag. And we talked about it like, listen, all the opportunities about their future quarterback situations and scouting different quarterbacks has to be on notice. I don't think anyone made a concrete claim like he was never coming back or he's going to come back. I think as of the day, you would say the 49ers quarterback situation is officially a disaster. Because when Jimmy started the game, before, I think he legitimately got hurt again. Like, he was limping around. But early on in the game, he was just terrible. Like, he can't, like Schlereth was saying, he can't throw a spiral. Whether he can't step into the throws because of his ankle or foot or whatever's going on. He's not comfortable. It doesn't look like he has any rhythm to what he's trying to do. And ultimately, he just doesn't look like a functional football player against a good team. Like you wouldn't beat any good team with this player today.
Especially with the team they have around him at this point, right? Especially with that. But that's not.
But even
what
like last
about.
Year's team, would they have won this game with Bosa and some of those guys have been really hard?
It would have been hard. It would have been It would have been hard, but they would have had a better shot just because all the stuff that Kyle has done to help him, even that stuff wasn't working in this game. And part of that is you're just so far down the depth chart at running back. You don't have Debo.
No Mostert, no Debo. You can't win with this Jimmy.
He throws the baby zone pick. I actually, not that this matters. We could argue it. It's not really worth arguing, but I do want to say it. I thought he made some better throws. He made more plays in this game than he did in the Dolphins game. Like, that game was – I do view that game as worse than this one. But whatever, it didn't matter ultimately because he made enough bad throws that you're just like, what is going on? And maybe it is – we talked about it after the Miami game. Oh, don't make it about the ankle. Whether it is or it isn't, that's clearly a part of this, but it's not the whole thing. He was good enough to start the game, right? He was good enough to play the whole game and kick the Patriots' ass. He was good enough to play the week before, beat the Rams. So he's been good enough in whatever physical condition he's been in. Now maybe it gets aggravated, somebody falls on it, whatever. But
kind of what it looked like what happened.
Yeah, but it wasn't. The point is, right, it wasn't all about that. And I think the question, and you asked me this question before we started this, which is how does Kyle Shanahan view this? At the end of the year, whatever their record is what the record is. However he looks is how he looks. But if it continues like this, does Kyle Shanahan look at it like, it was his ankle, let's give him a break? Or does Kyle Shanahan look at it like, yeah, his ankle was a factor, but despite that, I expected more from him. And it kind of that's how it feels like he should feel right now, right?
That's my gut says that Jimmy's long-term future is in major doubt. I mean, we'd already said that before, but the more and more these things happen, you just have to kind of, I don't know, take that claim, like take that side of the argument. Like, I don't understand. This is the second time, like you said, in 4 weeks, he's been yanked out of a game. He's limping around. His contract is conducive to get out of there. Now, saying that, I don't believe that it means Matt Ryan or it means that Kirk Cousins are going to be the quarterback here because those guys make a lot of money and they're not going to be cut. So I don't envision the Niners with the cap coming down trading for one of those players. I'm actually pretty confident of that when you factor in the finances because they're not going to be able to attain either one of those players, and pay them $12, $15 million. Yeah. That's just not going to happen.
I just as a philosophy generally think that if you're kind of in the middle on a quarterback and you have to predict whether or not a guy's going to be back, it's just so hard to find guys that you probably should lean that a guy's going to be back, even though it sets up for him not to be back. But like we've been saying for a while, the contract is the contract. This performance is this performance repeatedly, right? Where it's less good than it is good.
Yeah, I think the most likely scenario is they draft a quarterback really high. And unlike, an Aaron Rodgers situation or even the year with Alex Smith, Jimmy would not be guaranteed to be the starter, regardless of the finances. We've seen the coach. He just does not give a shit about that stuff. Like, he doesn't make determinations on money, on status. Like, especially with this baby, which is the offense. And listen, if you want to defend Jimmy saying the ankle is really messed up, it probably has some validity of just he can't move around right. But I think you could easily counteract it with being like, well, he has a short career now, hurt with the Patriots, tore his ACL with the Niners. Now this year he's been banged up the whole year. Like he's not Mr. Durability, right? They mentioned it today on the broadcast. Like, say what you want about Russell. Small, runs, never, ever misses a game.
You know what I thought honestly, watching the game was...
I don't really remember him missing many snaps.
I thought during the game, too, I'm like, how often have you ever even talked about who the Seahawks backup quarterback is? It almost never comes up, ever. Right? You don't even see the guy, rarely.
Well, when you saw Geno, you're like, God, Geno Smith's their backup quarterback?
I thought the same thing.
I was like,
Geno's kind of sitting there.
Yeah. Well, he knows he's never going to fucking play.
He was like, what? Russ, like, tapped him to show him. So he's like, hey, Geno, check this out. He was like, whatever.
Well, I bet today, like, after the game, the negatives for Russ will be like, listen, when you're in the middle of the field and you do the fake slide where you're still going to get hit, it's just not worth it. You know, like, I bet that's something they talk about in the quarterback room. Like, we got nothing to prove here.
Yeah. It did end the game, but it's not worth it.
Yeah, but it's just the game was. I think the game was over no matter what. Like
but it was, what was it, like 5.5 minutes, 10-point game? There was gonna be.
Wasn't that a first down that he got?
I think he was short. I thought he was short. But
whatever. Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, I just think like that. That to me is the knock, and he rarely does that, right?
Yeah, is weird.
He's really good at just getting down. I think he got a little greedy, and listen, that's a whole like I defend the defender that way. Like
I'm with you on that one.
You have to throw away their right to just, will you fake slide? I'm sorry, you don't get the same slide rights. Like you fake slide, that guy's just going to make a tackle. Then all of a sudden you go down really fast and he fucking hits you. Yeah, he's trying to take you out in like your thighs.
Blandino was like he's giving himself up. It's like, well, not before the defender started to hit him, but whatever. That's the whole. Yeah, you look around right now and you go, in this division, there are two teams your quarterback has to show up to beat if you're not going to have a complete dominant defense, just a complete football team. And, we'll see him on the field, I guess. I mean, provided he can play on Thursday against Rodgers. But
I'd be shocked if he plays. My gut right now is he doesn't play in that game. Do you think he's playing? If you sitting here Sunday night?
I don't know. Yeah, I do. They need him.
Need Jimmy? I would under no circumstances play him this week. He'd be down. I'd go with one of these two guys. I know it sounds crazy, but the Jimmy's out today.
Well, hold on. It doesn't sound crazy. But I've seen what it looks like when you roll Nick Mullins out. I know Jimmy's.
Well, if Jimmy's limping around, which he looked like limping around, I can't throw him out.
Well, if he looks like that, then he's not going to be the quarterback if that's how he's limping.
I'll be surprised if he plays in this game. It's kind of nuts that they play Thursday. Kittle, who knows? I mean, it was a disastrous. I mean, it starts with when you don't have a quarterback in the NFL or have questions on the quarterback, your franchise is in a weird spot. And I think it's fair to say is like you look at the division, Russell's a superstar, MVP. Kyler is just a stud. Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo. Here is the bright side for the 49ers. Jared Goff was horrendous today, guy. I mean, awful. See a stat line, ton of turnovers.
And he's been repeatedly. We've been watching him. He's
been playing poorly.
Yeah.
They're stuck with him. Like they are. They paid him enormous money. I think $40 million more guaranteed. They're not getting out of that contract. On the bright side of Jimmy, you do just have options. And like you said, sometimes you get stuck. And maybe he comes back and you got to draft another guy. But at least if you think you can upgrade, like you are by no means tied to this guy after this season. You do have options.
Yeah, and even if you're listening to this going, well, but he's hurt, that's the excuse for what happened against Seattle. I think what you said is the ultimate comeback, which is this year's going to end however it ends, and he will have one season in his career in which he's played 16 games. Now, part of that was he was a backup for a while, but he hasn't been the backup for a while now, right? How many years has he been the starter? As many years as he was a backup at this point? Like,
yeah, I mean, is his third year with the Niners. Like he's been the starting quarterback now for 3 straight years. I guess last year, this year, that's 2. Yeah. The 1 year towards ACL, that was like 3. And then he showed up. He played 6 games or 5 games or whatever.
So that's part of the story of his quarterback career right now. Is he's not available every week.
Well, I know this, and I pivoted pretty quickly. If the Niners were to cut Jimmy Garoppolo, like between free agency and the draft, when they can get out of that period, how Parag sets up his contract and not pay him any money to leave. At this rate, he is by no means guaranteed to be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year. I guess maybe New England, if they brought him back, that would be. But, I don't think some team would just immediately – they might sign him. How much money would he get? 1-year deal, maybe? Like $10 million?
He would not be viewed the way he would have been viewed midway point of last
Fuck.
year.
No.
I don't
Hell,
I don't view him the way and we said this when you sign him. Hey, based on what he's done, based on what you think he is, based on how team-friendly the contract potentially is, you do it, and does he get better? But the trajectory has not continued in the way that I thought it would.
Yeah, he's trending the wrong way.